So here we are, episode to be determined because I can't count. The Time Capsule Podcast. I'm Borley Borlstein with,
Fontleroy.
and so what's the most pressing thing that's happened in this week?
Honestly, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, sure. I don't
I
know.
like the. No, I'm looking on the agenda and the YouTube changes. I think it was really interesting how they kind of quietly implemented that system that shows you like how I guess it's like how many people are viewing certain parts of a video.
Yeah, like the
You know, it has that
frequency.
little, yeah, that little like
It's got the stars. It's the most
those
replayed.
hills. I
Um,
mean, it has the stars the most replayed, but it also like throughout the whole video, it shows you like it's like a graph. Like the bigger
yeah,
the bigger the hill is or whatever, the more people that have been watching this part, which is amazing because so I've heard. I don't know myself, but I've
yeah. I
heard that
know
like
no personal experience here. I read the
yeah
patch notes.
yeah that like porn sites have had this for like years. I don't know how it took so long for YouTube to start implementing this. Like it
Yeah,
seems like the technology's been there forever.
yeah. Like I don't know who had hovering over a video and then the video starts playing moments from the video. Who had that first? Was that YouTube or was that
You see that? I think porn
the
sites had
the
that
the porn
too.
sites?
Yeah, porn sites. I remember hearing people talking about it, friends, that yeah, literally porn sites had that before YouTube did. Because YouTube's they started doing that like somewhat recently.
Yeah, that
When
was
you hover over it, it'll autoplay
yeah.
or
Although
it'll show you
YouTube's
like
definitely is probably some of the best, um, because it's so seamless. But their players generally pretty good.
what do you mean? Like when you click
Like
on
there's no
it and
like
you've been
lagginess. Like you can be playing it, and then you click into the video, and then it's like it just continues from where you
goes
are,
right
and
to it.
and it's
Yeah,
not like a
yeah,
fucking glitchy mess.
yeah.
Um, but the interesting part is like even it I don't know why it's not in all videos though. Have you noticed that? Or maybe
Um,
the videos I don't see. Okay,
there's some videos where it's just like a solid, like a brick. Like
yeah,
and I feel like it's just because it doesn't have enough like information or something.
yeah,
Like not enough
or
people are
yeah, maybe there has to be a
viewing it.
threshold. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming that because I've only ever seen the most replayed and like the different bar things on like videos where people are just waiting for the shot of the girl's ass. Oh no, there is one video I seen it where it wasn't. It was a girl playing the harp in the woods, and then a deer comes out.
Oh, so the most replayed are on the deer, I assume.
Yeah, because she didn't notice it. I guess she just had her camera set up, and then she like moves back because she like hears something in the woods, or like the deer runs into the woods or whatever. Um, but yeah, this is a great boon for humanity,
Because
and
we get to see how depraved people really are.
yeah, but see, this is communism. This is collective action because everyone's working together to crowdsource the horniest moments in Olympic athlete videos now.
Hmm.
Because after these always come up. These always make the rounds. Um, they'll be like pole vaulting ass queen slams her ass into uh, Olympic staff's face. He suffocates and dies. And then Elsa's pregnant. And like these videos always make the rounds. But now you don't even like when you click on the video because you're like, this is so absurd. Like I can't believe this is like has 3 million views. Like nobody really cares about the sport. They're just there to
Well,
see the girl's ass.
but the thumbnail is always a picture of like the girl from behind. Like it's
Yeah,
always showing their ass to begin with. Like you know why the people are there. There's no question. It's not like it's not a very
it's not an
like
official
neutral.
altruistic channel hosting the results of fucking
Yeah.
1984 pole vaulting competition. Like who cares about
Yeah.
that?
But I'm saying like the thumbnail itself isn't even like a default picture or anything. It's not like them sitting on the bench like just a generic picture. a clickbait picture of their ass. That's gonna get you to click on it anyways. That's what all of them are.
I don't think they're all that bad, but I mean, most of them are. I mean, that's what the purpose is there for. I mean, because those ones get videos. Some of the channels are just like, mass uploads of like whatever, whatever competition results. Because I clicked on one of them one time and it had a bunch, and it was like, oh, none of these have any views, and then here's like, this girl's getting this channel all the views.
In my suggestions, I'm only getting the really
the
ludicrous
the
ones.
most. So you're only
Never
getting the most depraved ones.
getting yeah.
I mean, well, see, I'm probably getting the more Olympic ones because I did some search for the Olympics back when the last Olympics were around, and then like after the Olympics ends, because it was like the Winter Olympics, so, like there's no like volleyball or summer sports to wear less clothes for, so nobody really cares. But then afterwards, there were people were like thinking, I'm really into the Olympics. Let's go check out volleyball, or I'm really, the Winter
man, I'm
Olympics
really
really got me.
curious what
I'm interested in the Olympics. I'm gonna go put that in my Twitter bio. Olympic watcher. I'm really interested in the Olympics. And then they just like,
Polo, what's going on with that?
yeah. What's going on with volleyball? And I only watch the female ones for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. They just seem to have more fun time. I like watching it.
They're more skilled,
Yeah.
There's more athleticism.
True. Because they have to overcome more. Because they got things getting in their way like bigger thighs and boobs and female
boobs and butts and butts and boobs.
Boobs and butts and the female. What do they call that? What's that? Prehistoric monster syndrome.
My God. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Following. Yeah. If that's happening, like the team coercion will just be down in the dumps. They won't.
No, it's the opposite. It goes up because they all sync their cycles together and they become like a power. They form like a Megazord.
Where did that idea come
from? I have
from?
no fucking. Is that real? I've heard women say that was real, but they're always like old and crazy, so I don't know.
I feel like it's not. I feel like
it seems bizarre.
What is the?
What is sync?
Like,
what syncs them up?
Yeah, what is the mechanism that makes that happen? I feel like there's no such thing.
I think it's the morphogenetic field or whatever the fuck it's called, where
define.
I don't even know if it's like a real thing. It's a thing in a video game where where basically who's that stupid psychologist guy who like believes in voodoo magic? Like the collective unconscious.
I
forget his name.
Is that an Alfred one?
Alfred? No. I can just look this up. Okay, quick. Distract him with a fart story.
With a fart story?
Oh, Carl Jung or whatever. I didn't even need to finish searching it.
Good.
Yeah, Carl Jung, Mr. Jung, as he's named.
I don't know. Like I feel like. So what do you mean? You don't think there's kind of things that get passed down through generations?
I mean,
I feel like
true.
That.
I don't. Some of the stuff. It's just.
I guess I don't know what.
I think there needs to be a degree of skepticism regarding a lot of stuff that he hand waves as being real things.
Like what? I'm not saying that in like a prove it kind of way, but like I don't know.
Like just I mean I think the base idea of a collective unconscious as a own entity is kind of silly.
What does that mean? Like a hive mind kind of
thing?
Basically,
basically you're unaware of this hive mind. Now, in some senses, it does exist because there's like you have like collective trauma and events impact groups of people.
Yeah.
But it might not go stated or recognized at the macro level. But if you could pull your perspective back enough, one would recognize this as like, oh, these people are kind of unaware of what's impacting them, but it's a collective thing that's happening. Like that's how I would argue it. But he goes like a little further usually. Like I just can't watch any of his videos or like there's this other guy. Well, not his videos because I don't think he has the videos, but people make videos on him all the
Right,
time. Anytime
right.
I'm watching a YouTube review, this is where I if I'm watching a, one of them late epic, 5 hour 16 part reviews about some fucking video game, and some guy goes into like the collective unconscious or Carl Jung, it's like I just turn the video off. I just
Dropped.
because
Yeah.
it just there's only one game, and this is bringing it back to what I brought up. There's only one game that actually puts this into the game in a way that's like, oh, you've done all the groundwork to make this make sense in your game. Great, good job. Well, the game is 9 doors, 9 hours, nine problems, and in it, these characters like have to access the morphogenetic field or whatever. I might be saying it wrong, and they use that to like pass puzzle information back and forth, which is actually I think like a study the CIA or some shit tried to do as one of those like kind of crazy like trying to create superhumans with like
A mental
psychology.
goat situation or something.
Where yeah, like a MK Ultra, where it's like you're gonna put two people in a room. One person has the answer key, one person has the code key, and then the other person's gonna try to send
Telepathically send
yeah,
it to
yeah,
the
it's
other
yeah, it's
one.
like telepath. Yeah, I think like
Wow.
that's the part where like the collective unconscious thing gets me because like it borders on like magical telepathy in
Oh,
like the
totally.
worst presentation.
Totally.
Um, but like I mean, and it gets just so voodoo magic and all this like stuff, and you can just attribute like a million things to it. Like when you have such like a catch-all
Right.
thing, it just really
Right.
sours like I think any kind of like artistic analysis, especially somebody who's like only influential to like ding dongs, like he got out of psychology to go into lunacy, like okay, great, good job.
Well, the woo-woo crowd eats that up, though.
Yeah, that and people who like crystals, and they charge their crystals in the moon for
That's
power.
woo-woo.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
what woo-woo is. Oh,
Yeah, I know.
well,
That's what
you...
I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, I thought you were like... Oh, and also this type of person. I'm like, no, that's that Venn diagram is just a circle.
Yeah, I wonder
Not much of an
now what
overlap.
how do you think Jack Off Crystal Man on Craigslist ad is allowed at the astrology meetups?
Yeah, I think he's fully. I think if people are already willing to accept that, like, the moon is charging their crystal, and based on that, if someone else touches their crystal, loses magical powers, JL Crystal Man should be welcomed into their meetups with open arms.
That's yeah,
Because, like,
I think you should
what's the
too.
difference?
Yeah.
Like, he's charging it with his JO material. They're just putting it in the windowsill to get charged by the moon. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
ostensibly.
Well, Jo man, he needs another friend to help him.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
I
in the
honestly
Craigslist ad, he's like, I've seen it glow when he Jo is with another dude and they're like naked. He's seen it glow and it gives him confidence in his workplace and in his life. And he sounds like he's not trying to do anything to anyone. He's just looking for
just
somebody to
wants.
two bros to Jo together and charge their crystals.
Yeah, just like Louis C.K. Just wanted
Yeah,
someone to watch him.
he just needs someone to watch. That's what he's into. That's what he needs to recharge. But he's not like, I mean, as long as he's not doing
Forcing
it to anyone,
them.
he's just like, yeah, putting it out there. Where do the sexual weirdos go in society if not for Craigslist?
Craigslist is where they go, obviously.
Yeah, right. So I think he's doing it the right way.
Mhm.
And now, people on YouTube, they can do it in their way, right? By crowdsourcing thousands of Indian men's, YouTube search history. Because you ever go to like a lot of these videos where it's like, it's just a horny video. Like the only reason anyone watches it because of that. And like the comments are all in another language.
Sometimes I get the other language, or other times it's clearly ESL, and they have like that blushing emoji.
Oh,
That's like
yeah.
really that's our classic Indian kind of creeper post.
That's
And
really
if they say
weird to me.
deer,
I mean,
they say
it's like a
deer.
cultural thing though, but like,
It's not, but it's like very ubiquitous.
what
It's like
what are they saying
indicative.
there?
It's like, oh, hello, dear. I'd really like to meet you.
Oh, okay, that's what I
Blushing.
thought. Like they're
They're just like,
embarrassed at their sexual interest in the person or something almost.
I mean, it's not horribly explicit. They're like, oh, wonderful dance moves. Really like to dance with you or something, and then blushing smile emoji, blushing hug emoji.
Yeah, and well, it's so funny because they're so nice on the internet, but like, if they were in real life, it would probably be way different.
If they would even talk to them, that's kind of a recurring thing. No, but one of my other favorite things is have you ever seen like DMs from like these type of people? I mean, I
Oh
hate to
yeah,
say
I've
like
seen like a
I hate to say
few.
like
I mean, the Bob's
Indian,
and
but like
Vagine ones.
it's usually well, no, they're even better ones. Where I think I've seen this from like American people too, where the guy'll it's like Tinder or something, and the guy'll like message the girl, "Hi," and then she doesn't get back. Then he says, "Hey." She doesn't respond. He says, "Oh, okay, I guess you're busy." And then
Oh
like
no.
maybe and these are like over like days, you know, like it's not like it's over minutes. It's like a day between each one minimum. And then he's like, "Okay, I guess you're busy, blah blah blah." And then she replies like, "Oh, hey, sorry, I have been really busy. I just blah blah blah, whatever." And then he just goes off and he's like, "Okay, well, fuck you, you fucking whore. All women are fucking shit. I can't believe you treat me like this. No wonder you're still single, you fucking piece of shit." It's like, he had that lock, stock in the barrel, just waiting for any kind. It was most of them aren't even like absolute rejection.
Yeah,
Although
that
sometimes,
wasn't like
yeah.
if he could have just like eaten his emotions there and gone on, it could have been something. I like how it's like
But
I've noticed that pattern too in other ones where it's like it's they say like a greeting every day, and
that's
they,
so
they just keep
weird.
doing the basic greeting.
Yeah.
And then maybe sometimes they'll be like, they'll make like a more direct sexual comment, but generally it's just like, hello, hi, I hope you're having a great day. You're beautiful. Sit on my face.
You're beautiful. Which, like, have we talked about this on the pod at all? Like, how the experience for women is just, it's not even night and day. It's like Mars and Earth compared to
I
like
think a
men
little bit, but not
on
as like
dating
not
apps.
where we're like not particularly.
I mean, it's just insane to see uh the 5,000 messages that a woman would get in like one day, and then a guy doesn't get anything but spam bots.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I got a new
Isn't that
message. It's
weird?
congratulations for following the subreddit.
From on a dating app, they say that?
No, I just mean like if somebody was on Reddit and they saw like a message, the only message a guy's gonna get is like an auto mod message from like subscribing to a new subreddit. But like
They
on
even get
dating,
that?
specifically on dating things, like it's just it seems like I don't know if it's still the case that men outnumber women, which is pretty unfortunate, but not
Probably
surprising.
depends on the platform, because I think there are some that are like tailored or yeah, I guess like more directed towards women having like more control. I think Bumble is a good one for that, because like the woman has to actually say something first or
You know,
something.
if you told me that that
It's the matriarchy
no, like,
come alive. I'm kidding,
no,
but
no, that's not what I would think. If somebody described to me Bumble and I didn't know anything about it, my first thought would be like, this is like what an incel would fantasize about on a dating platform. They're like, yeah, those fucking bitches got to do the work now. Those fucking stupid ass whores. I'm fucking sick of
yeah,
having to. I have to write out a fucking paragraph message about trying to fucking get some whore's attention. She doesn't even fucking respond. Fuck that fucking bitch.
now they gotta
But now they
they
gotta
have to put
fucking
in the
write the
work.
fucking paragraph long message. But
They
like, that's
gotta
not gonna happen. They'll just be like
yeah.
question mark, and then they'll immediately have a paragraph ready to go.
Yeah, they gotta start what were I looking for? Not Taylor. They gotta start courting
They
me.
gotta call me. Yeah, yeah. They gotta do the work. Yeah, I'm the prize.
I'm worth it.
And then if
And
and
you
depending on
gotta
how
prove it.
like conservatard they are, they actually believe that they're gonna like take care of somebody, which is just like, they don't really mean take care of, because like that's actual work. They just mean like, I'm gonna work the job and you're gonna do everything else, which is, be my mom I can have sex with, basically.
Hell yeah.
That's all
Sounds pretty
trad
awesome.
cons, traditional conservatives believe, is that they just want a mom they can have sex with.
But like it's like, you have to be in a pretty good position to be able to do that anyways.
I mean, it depends
Like
where you
this,
live. You don't need to make that much money in like half or more than half of the country, right? Because like half the country is, I mean, not geographically, but like if you could get a decent job, making 50K in a rural place, you don't really need much more. That's pretty decent. And if the houses is like, you know, sub 100K. But yeah, if you wanted to do that in like any city that's like over 200K in America, you would need to make a lot of money.
two incomes, and I mean, once you add a kid to it,
Yeah, that's the part that's like kind of crazy too. But then again, I guess like that's a problem America's like never solved. Is like, boy, how do we deal with childcare?
how do we deal with childcare?
Because like, COVID really exposed that with like, oh, schools
Oh,
aren't open.
our free babysitting service isn't
Yeah,
here anymore.
and it's like, well, I gotta go to work, but then my kid's here. What do I do? Leave the kid at home, and then also at the same time, you got like, the Zoom schooling. So then people are seeing like how shitty these like kids' situations are, or it's like they have to have internet,
Nice. Right.
like.
That's
Although
crazy that people in this day and age don't have internet. That I don't know. Maybe I'm a little disconnected, but that just blows my mind. It's like that should just be a human right at this point.
yeah,
So
well,
everyone should have an internet connection, one way
they
or another.
the Biden government is passing something to make like a low cost internet thing, but it's like totally corporately tied, so it's like maximally
Wonderful.
benefit. Like basically the government's just
Great.
footing the bill to corporations to like make like plea like it's like rent control essentially.
Mhm.
Like which rent control without any other housing boons is basically is not very helpful for people,
Right.
except for the
Right.
people that are already in property.
Yeah, for like anyone. Because even it fucks the landlords who are already, blood-sucking leeches, don't get me wrong, but like just
Well,
having
no, it
to
doesn't. Generally, rent control just puts the excess bill of what the increased rent would be on the county governments. It doesn't fuck the landlords usually.
I
The government
see.
just
See,
steps
when
in.
I hear
It
rent
doesn't
control,
like
I think
cap.
it's
Like you can't. I don't think
sets
you
it.
can legally
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
The county governments just subsidize what the new rent would be to make it so that basically people don't get like priced out of the economy, because it's like, well, we need these Starbucks workers to still keep being able to afford to go to Starbucks, so I guess we'll just have to like foot the bill to the government, which is once again just like subsidizing corporations.
Yeah.
In the most perverse way, rent control
Right.
subsidizes corporations. Now, obviously, I think there should be absolute support for fucking housing shit, because it's just fucking ridiculous. Like,
It's insane that
every
people like
place is like, oh, 30% of your income. It's like, where the fuck am I supposed to find that much income somewhere?
I just don't get how it's like people think it's okay that like a company can own a large fraction of like a town.
Yeah, like I
Like
think, I don't know if it's in New Orleans or Georgia. It's acronym Norco, so maybe it
okay.
is New Orleans. But basically, I think this is the same place that the wealthiest and poorest districts are in the same zip code, because the
What?
wealthiest one is where the
Oh my
oil refinery
God.
place is.
Okay.
And that place pays about a 0.07 property tax. And then just nearby, you have like the poorest, like non-white district that is just it's just wild. Okay, so you gave this corporation really cheap tax incentives, and we're not.
Right.
Why don't we nationalize oil? Am I a fucking idiot? Like,
Well, I think there's just too many business interests. that would
Well, yeah,
keep
I
that from
mean,
happening.
America is a
That's
government
the
sold to
answer.
corporations. America is a
Yeah.
country that is raped by corporations, and when I say
Yeah.
America, I mean the land and like the natural resources.
Okay, for sure. Yeah.
You know, because it's
Definitely.
like, why else wouldn't we then nationalize these resources so that we could just like the government just sells it and gets the profits and then use that for funding for like services and like like why do we need a third party to
I
act
know.
to get our
Yeah.
own oil to then sell it
Yeah.
back to us that the government
Right.
subsidizes as
Right.
well.
Well, it's the fact that that's the thing that really gets me is that it's subsidized to begin with. So it's like
Yeah.
just own it.
Because
Just
yeah, because that was
take
like
it for
ethanol as well.
yourself.
Ethanol was like super subsidized.
Hmm. Do you think I haven't done a lot of research into it, but I've just been kind of thinking about it. Do you think like electric cars are actually gonna take off eventually?
I think
Uh,
like eventually,
like they
yes.
have to.
The problem with electric cars is that we could not sustain a massive electric car conversion because we just don't have the infrastructure for it.
That's the thing that I always go back on. Like, yeah,
And I don't
because
know
we have a
how
whole
good electric
infrastructure.
cars work in like they're not great in cold environments. Like I would not want one in northern Wisconsin or in Wisconsin without being able to put it in a garage because they're just less likely to start. They have problems in like colder temperatures and like what are you gonna do? I mean,
Makes sense.
maybe
Yeah.
you have like a good enough job. You're like, oh, my car's all fucked up. Can't come in, boss.
Or you just have a garage.
Yeah, but if you don't
Yeah.
work, if the place you work at doesn't have a garage, then you can also be kind of fucked.
Right. Right.
Which is like it always blows my mind when I'm driving around in Madison and I see like Exact Sciences and like their garage for the cars is like a whole other block of building.
Oh, dude, that's there's an insurance company that has it's just like a monument to opulence. It's like right off the interstate where I live, and yeah, they were building this whole big building, and I was like, wow, I wonder what the it's like you said, like a giant parking lot, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
I thought they're like expanding, oh, business is booming. I mean,
Like
I
what are
guess
they
business
building
is
there?
booming,
Business is
but
booming out.
it's like, oh my God. Like this is all a giant parking lot. I think the parking lot's as big as the massive building they have to begin
Well,
with.
yeah, it has to
It's
be.
insane.
That kind of shit. Like that's just like a fundamental design flaw with like American cities and like the idea of like owning property and like just sprawl in general is that the whole culture around that contributes to this like disgusting just eyesore of urban development with these like parking garages that are massive. Every parking garage I see in Madison just makes me want to vomit. And if you go by the hospitals ever, like the UW hospital, it's like a big horseshoe. And like on the internal of the horseshoe, it's like the hospitals. And the hospitals are like a bunch of fucking weird, different like Duplo and Jenga blocks stuck together because it's just an
Dang.
amalgam of a bunch of shit. But then on the outside of the horseshoe is like the parking lots. And apparently,
Oh,
if you work there, you don't actually get a pass to park in the parking lot.
what?
Yeah.
You'd think there would be just like an employee parking or
Yeah, no,
something.
apparently not. You have to be a certain high enough staff to be able to
Oh,
park in the parking lot. So a lot
of
of people
course,
there
yeah,
like
you
take the bus. I noticed
have
that
to
when
earn it.
I used to clean the central office for the UW
Yeah.
Credit Union when I was a janitor, and
Hmm.
I would go past the horseshoe on the bus, and we'd pick up all these people like nurses and
Oh,
stuff, and I'd
yeah,
just be like, what are these
yeah,
people doing? Don't they have like they gotta be making good money? Why are they on the
yeah,
bus? Like I'm on the
yeah.
bus because I'm making like $13 an hour. Like what are they doing? And they might live nearby, or whatever.
Maybe they just like it. They like the sense of community that the
I don't
bus
think anyone
creates.
who rides public transit could ever say that. Let's at least in
They just
Madison.
like hanging out with their friends. It's like it's a cheer situation, The bus driver welcomes them in, and everyone's like, "Oh, hey, Richard, welcome back! Oh, yeah!"
Oh, that
They're
reminds
having
me.
a
Oh
great
my
time.
god. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like a Cheers, or they're like, "Oh, it's all my friends." It's the guy
Yeah,
who's like clearly a war veteran, like
it's
who's having like a schizophrenic episode, talking about like poisoning his whole squad or whatever. Like I remember that guy. He like ran across
yeah.
the street, almost got hit by a car to get on the bus, and like as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be trouble. Just don't sit by me.
It's not that everyone here's an alcoholic. It's
Yeah.
we're all just a bunch of friends hanging out. What the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Everyone knows that like if you're drunk on the bus, you're basically a Cheers cast member. Surprisingly, the bus wasn't too bad, other than just sometimes people smelling, and then like there's always be like weird black tar things on like the seats.
Yeah.
And trying to move groceries on the bus is like the worst experience imaginable. That's the worst part about not having a personal car.
No, I bet I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, like
Because and you would have to limit how much you get at a time
Yeah.
too. Like you can't get too much.
and you have to hope that like it's not busy because like you're gonna need to like kind of like take up a little more room than normal
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And then you have to like hold all your shit. So if it's like
Right.
you know, when I had to do that, it wasn't so bad. I do remember one time though where I shopped. I got some groceries at a place. I think I had like 2 or 3 bags, and I had to walk like I didn't realize how far it was because I was still living in the dorm. I must have only got like a few bags, and unbeknownst to me, there was a Black Lives Matter. Not like it was. I don't even know if it was BLM. It might have. It was definitely before BLM was a thing, but it was like a bunch of black people got together to do like a protest in Madison, and I knew there was something going on like politically, but I wasn't like I was doing school and I had to walk everywhere, so like I didn't have much energy to pay attention to like the climate, right?
Yeah.
The social climate.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was something locally that happened that inspired this, and that might have been the case. I think it might have been. But yeah, I see between like the humanities building and the other building, there's just like line of black people. This is like the most black people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like I've interacted. I've been friends with people. You know, I get along with everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I grew up in a pretty racist. We both grew up in a pretty racist neighborhood, or
I
not
never
area.
realized how like just innately racist
Oh, yeah.
where we grew up was until I like
Until you
didn't.
until you see them around other non-whites.
Yes. One of my favorite sorry, I'm hijacking a little bit.
No,
but one
yeah.
of my favorite things that I've heard from someone is they're sick of seeing these people from Chicago
Oh,
coming up and all they do is bring their crime. And it's like just say you don't want to see black people in your neighborhood. Just
Yeah.
cut the middleman. Just cut the shit. Like
oh my god.
you just be a piece of shit in the open. Why do you gotta mask it with all these
Like just
key
pretending to
phrases,
care about the
catchphrases?
community when really they just
Yeah.
like yeah, I have 2 like I think go-to racist stories that I think about, which was because like I don't think I ever worked with a black person except for once when I lived where we grew up. And I remember it was in a kitchen, and so a black person started working there, and I remember one time I saw a coworker, and he was like, I mean, he was kind of dumb. He was somebody who like here's the thing that he did one time. So you have the basket of the breading for the chicken, and then you have like the fucking the strain thing, because like you have a big bag of chicken, you open it up, the blood pours down, you kind of let it like all the shit get off it, then you put it in the breading, then you put it in the deep fryer, right?
Got it.
He takes them, puts them both on the ground, does it, and then he takes one of them, mind you, they're both on the ground, and stacks it on top of the other one into the breading one.
Like why do you put it on the ground to begin with?
Because he didn't want to like take 2 steps from the table over to the deep fryer,
Oh my god.
and he couldn't think of a better solution. So that's this guy. So I see him one time, and he's like around the corner watching the black guy, and now kind of right away, the black guy also kind of started like gravitating towards this other girl that worked there, which was like, oh,
Okay.
instantly something's
Okay.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so like my other coworker, who's the idiot, is like watching him, and I'm just like, look, I'm like looking at him, I'm like looking where he's looking, I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just watching him. And I was like, for what? It was like, is he gonna steal something? And then he like kind of like like embarrassingly laughs, like, no, I'm just making sure he's doing it right. And it's like, no, she's making sure he's doing it right. You're just a fucking weirdo. Oh, I was like, what the fuck? He didn't work there that long. I don't think he got. Did he get fired? I don't know what happened with that guy. I hope
And naturally he got fired for stealing.
Yeah,
and doing
naturally he got
everything
fired
wrong.
for stealing. No, that would be really unfortunate. Because the last thing you want is to like have
And
a
to, like,
stereotype
fulfill that,
get like
yeah.
reinforced.
Yeah.
But I think he got fired for some other reason. But like all those people working there were like crazy ding dogs anyway. But another time when I was working as a janitor in our hometown, my supervisor, he would come around and talk to me because he's the fucking loneliest person imaginable, I think.
Okay.
And he tells me how he like saw some black people and then he like went up to them. Well, first he didn't tell me they were black people, but he said that they were those people. And he goes up to him. He sees him in his neighborhood. He goes up to him and tells him, "Hey, get out of here! Get out of here! There's nothing for you to steal here. Get out of here!" And I was like, and
That's awesome.
you know, and he's told parties about like fighting Mexicans. I don't know.
I had a boss like that too. I think that's like it wasn't in our hometown, but I had a boss that
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah.
It was so funny. He like said he did like karate moves, and I take like one look at his body, and like, yeah, sure, dude, okay, whatever.
Well, maybe it was years ago, asshole. Come on. He was
Yeah,
way
I'm
more
sure
fit.
he was
way
in
more
some
fit
shape at
back in
some
the day
point.
to karate chop.
When
Mexican
your
people,
beer
right?
belly is a fucking third pregnancy, I think it's a foregone conclusion that guy was ever in shape.
It hits you sometimes. It's never. Sometimes they'll be really fit, and then
Yeah, it hits you when he looks in the mirror and he's like, "What happened to me?"
Yeah, see, yeah, what happened to me? I used to be so fit, I could karate chop a Mexican person in half. Now I'm a fat POS.
Well, no, he could karate chop them into tortillas. He'd like karate chop
Into
their skin off and then
tortillas.
he'd fry them into a taco.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I was like, "Oh, what were these people?" You know, I'm like, what people?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
And he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he leans into me, he's like, black people. And I was like, oh, you know, I just wanted to get him to confirm that, like, yeah, he was trying to shoo black people out of his community because he saw them
Right.
walking around. And I think he just assumes that they're stealing.
Yeah, they're just walking around, like...
Yeah, okay.
That's my favorite. That's the best part of the
You know,
story.
they're just walking around and
It's
like, so obviously you're a white guy in a 98% white county.
Yeah.
What do you assume?
Yeah.
They're thieves.
Yeah.
That's just
they're,
where you go. No, I'm joking. I'm not saying that's a thing to do. But that's what I experienced. Anyway.
What I have well, sorry, do you have are you going somewhere?
No, I was just gonna bring up that was the context for my experience with black people.
Oh, okay.
Up
okay.
until the BLM rally that was like I was walking towards.
Riot. It was a riot.
It was a riot. No, it was very I was in my head. I had two thoughts. I was like, wow, I hope they don't try to beat me up because you're white. Because I'm white or something. You know, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's racist. And I'm just gonna walk by and give them some nods in support. You know, because I'm carrying my groceries, and then I see like a little, like I think it was a black lady in a wheelchair, and I give her a nod. She nods back at me, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, and because like they're going like end to end, Like, and it's like a huge, not really a sidewalk. It's like a pedestrian area, but it's like a big thing. So I have to go like way around them, And then, so I didn't get canceled by the BLM Antifa mob. They didn't even attack me.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're paid. You're a paid actor. I'm not buying it.
Shit. Don't look at my bank account.
You're a crisis actor.
But right after that, I'm walking up Bascom Hill, and there's two white guys, and they're doing like Black Lives Matter, and then one of the guys says, what about white lives or some shit like that. It's like,
oh, I hope that guy got beat up.
No, he was so far away. He was just talking to his other dumb friend, and like we were like 10 minutes away on a hill. And I was just like, nice. Oh, great. Like, you're probably not even, like, your parents are probably paying your tuition. Like, shut up.
Great.
Fucking loser. God.
White lives. White lives have had it pretty okay for a while.
No, don't you know that white people were slaves longer than black people, and black people should get over it?
Uber true. Double based. Yes.
Oh,
it's true.
God. I love all the crazy arguments, unfortunate, about like slavery, especially.
Well, because it's like, it wasn't as much as far as I'm aware, it wasn't as much an institution.
Yeah, it wasn't like
it was a whole like industry.
Yeah, there's something unique about American slavery.
It's very
there's a lot of of the time components that contributed to it being so harsh. Now obviously slavery, other races endured bad. Slavery bad, okay? We're brave enough. Are you brave enough to say slavery bad on this podcast?
I'll go out on a limb and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have to say that slavery do equal bad.
Okay, good. We can
I'll
both
I'll
say
take the I'll
slavery
take the
bad.
flack for that.
You'll
I'll
take
take the
okay,
flack for
good.
that.
Okay, anyone in the comments wants to argue slavery good? Fauntleroy is gonna have a problem with you.
I'll take you on
You know,
one on one in
he'll
the
take you in the ring. I
the
don't
ring
even
of
need to get
ideas.
tagged in. Usually, I love arguing with retards, but
That's actually like your life. That's where a lot of your life force comes from. It's just arguing with idiots.
yeah, I have a lot of fun. But so okay, so we've said slavery bad, but you know the kind of slavery white people experience, like usually you can go on and do something. And I think of this funny story about. Do you know Vlad the Impaler?
I know that name.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you know the name. Okay, so his dad. I did this story as a presentation at speech class like over. It must have been like in 2014. So it's been a while. So I apologize if I get to the specifics wrong, but
Oh, we're holding you to it.
okay, good. We need the fact checkers on
Mhm.
the Wikipedia. We need the Wikipedia paragraph posters
Like-
to come in and explain why I'm wrong. But anyway, so the Ottoman Empire is invading, fucking Eastern kind of Europe, where Hungary is and that kind of shit. If you don't know where the places are, look them up on a map. And the Vlad the Impaler's dad like loses the war or something or whatever the fuck happens, and part of the agreement that the Ottomans would do is this kind of weird thing where they would like have the defeated kings like send their sons for like I guess like reconditioning in the Ottoman Empire as like weird slaves.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like on 4chan, they joke about this as like basically they're like boy sex slaves, which
Right, right,
probably is not far from the truth.
right.
So there was two outcomes with this. Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Tepes the Third or whatever his name is, he was very resentful and scornful and hated the Ottomans probably for all the bussy pounded that he had to endure. Rightfully so. But his brother was like full on I love Muhammad, I love the Ottoman King Emperor man. I love the Ottomans, and I think he like became like an army general, whatever. And the story goes on further, but the point is like, oh, you could be given away as like a slave. Sure, they're princes or whatever, but like, you
Right.
could be given degrees of like autonomy that are not afforded ever to like black people in like civil, you know, pre-Civil War era America.
Mhm.
Like that's just not even going to happen. They weren't even going to allow Indians to own slaves. When they tried to do that, they kicked them out of Florida.
Right. Right.
Because like if owning slaves was a godly thing that white people were doing, then it kind of undercut the holiness of white people if Indian people could do it as well. Despite the whole time white people trying to get Indians to live more like white people because they didn't like the fact that women did farming. Because in the Indian culture, women did a lot of the agricultural stuff, and then
Yeah.
the men would go off and like,
It would
do
probably
go
hunt
on
down
big
like
tracts
slaves.
of land
Yeah.
and hunt for the buffalo or some shit. I don't know. Is the basic
Now,
idea.
now I see you're calling them Indians. I thought that was super no-no. I thought it's always you have to call them Native Americans now.
I think. I mean,
I think that's a point of contention. Now
I
I'm
mean, it's
saying
not.
it
I mean,
like
we've actually talked
facetiously,
about.
but yeah,
I
we
know we've
have.
talked about this before. It
On
is a
this?
funny topic. Like
Have we done it on this thing
no,
though?
not on here though.
Okay, okay. That's what
So
kind of what, yeah.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's part of it is I don't know. I don't like anything like the base thing that you bring up is like true, but it's like it depends on who's saying it. Like
Totally.
if a white person is like trying to like change things, it's like, well, I mean, it's not really up to
Right.
them. So that's pretty
Right.
cringe.
Right.
I mean the general sentiment is like not even a factor for most American Indians. American Indian, I
Figured
think,
that.
is like probably
Yeah.
the best term,
Yeah.
because one, you don't confuse people. Because if you just say Indian, it's like, wait, which kind?
Which
you know?
one,
And
right?
then you
Yeah, that's
end up
what
with the
always
Family
yeah.
Guy joke.
Feather dot thing.
Yeah, where she's like the
Yeah.
oop whoop kind, not the ee kind or whatever that Lois
Oh.
says.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, that's the Family Guy joke.
Epic.
Yeah, lay epic. And but yeah, so like part of it is like, oh, they keeping the name that way basically eternally makes fun of Columbus for his and exposes his hubris in both thinking that he found India and also just like kind of how wrong he was. So keeping the name like American Indian is like, oh, like you got it wrong. And look at that.
American
and like,
Indian, not
yeah.
Indian.
So like there's that. There's another thing in like American Indian culture as well that like kind of makes the name meaningless. I mean, it's not really meaningless, but like in American Indian culture, you have like a weird thing that experienced when settlers and fur traders, people were trying to like interact with the tribes, is that like none of them had specific names for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
The name that they would always have their tribe was like the tribe or the home or like whatever. And so like to get the names of the tribes, they had to go off the names of other tribes, what they used to refer to them. Yeah. So obviously the names that you end up with oftentimes are not nice. Some of them.
Okay.
Because like the tribes don't all get along.
Yeah.
So you have.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. This is a really. It's been a long time since I read about this. But
those guys. Yeah, they're the Indian N-words.
Yeah, essentially that's it. Is that like every tribe name that we have preserved in English is the insult name that other tribes gave them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because they didn't have a concept of naming themselves, and they also didn't care about the name others gave them, because like
they know themselves.
Yeah, they know themselves. They are the tribe. It would be like, oh, it's my house. Like I don't really care what you call it. Like you could say, oh, that's the shit house. Like, well, no, it's my house. But like because they don't have that kind of like greater social perception kind of thing going on, really.
Right.
So like that is kind of like a cultural factor of why American Indians don't really care so much what they're called, because like I mean as long as they're not being called like a fucking redskin or some shit like that would be highly contentious. I mean there's still conservatives and retards that bring up like, oh fucking we can't say this thing or whatever, it's a mascot for a team, if you don't like it don't support the team, and all this stupid shit. And it's like okay, can we have like Mayo Man or whatever? Like how ass mad are you going to be about being made fun? Like it's you're commercializing an entire like race of people.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like
that's one thing that like with the sports ball mascot, that's like can we just get over that and just. But then it seemed like, what was it? There was a
when you say get over it, you mean get a new one, right?
Yeah, let's get over the fact that we're changing that mascot to something that's not. I don't want to use the term horribly offensive because that's not really. Like,
I mean, the caricatures throughout history, I would say, are pretty offensive because it's
just disgusting.
They just look like. I mean, they look like the American Indian version of Jewish caricatures, like the mascot. Yeah, it's just like, oh Lord.
Definitely. Oh, well, it seemed like the team was like being petty about it because then they changed themselves from like the Indian N-words to the whatever city football team. Did you
I don't really know too much about it. I'm actually surprised that it changed because I remember I watched her talk about this in my the first college I went to. So they changed it to the city and everyone hated that. I assume.
Well, they hated it because but like I said, they changed it. It was literally called the let's just say Cincinnati. I don't know. It's like the Cincinnati football team.
Oh, okay.
Like they just called it the football team.
Oh, they didn't even get a new.
They didn't call it a new mascot. They didn't call it the Cincinnati Gatorade drinkers or whatever. Like,
oh, so
they didn't come up with a new mascot. They literally called it football team. Like they're being petty that like, okay, since we
can't name it this,
we're gonna call it.
Yeah.
Since we can't have a fun name, we're gonna call it the football team.
We can't call it and can't have any fun now with our names without getting canceled.
Mom's gonna cancel me.
Oh my god. Yeah, that is just that. Yeah, you're right. No, yeah, that is absolutely is like the pettiest way to go. We're like, well, now we're just gonna be the football team. You didn't want to let us have our racist Indian N-word name, so now we're gonna have this boring name. I hope you're happy, leftist Twitter mob.
Because then there was there's a team that has like their one of their chants. Do you know about this? The Tomahawk.
Oh Jesus!
I think they're called the Tomahawks, maybe, or like where they take their hands and they like, like if you take your hand and you like throw it forward, like you're throwing a tomahawk.
Okay.
you know,
doing it.
and they do that like
But do they turn
and
it
they chant.
horizontal and then they do like a sideways swipe maybe?
Yes,
And
yes. Think about doing
and they say seek hail.
think about doing a oh no, not like that. Although that does relate to something else that I saw. But think about like doing a karate chop. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
they're doing that, and then they're like chanting like oh whoa 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 or there's something. I think that's a foot
Is that supposed to be them making fun of the
international
cries of the
football.
American Indians, like oh boo
Yeah,
hoo hoo?
they're supposed to be like native chanting or
Oh
whatever.
really? Oh Jesus!
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll find it for you later.
Full of like
No, there was another. I forgot where I saw this. I think it was in one of those. Oh, yeah. I guess So I was visiting my family in Race's hometown, and I was with my grandma. And, you know, she's old, so she likes baseball, and I was like, man, this is just really missing something. And it was missing the single cheerleaders in the
oh
stands doing just not even like vaguely erotic, just blatantly
entirely
erotic
erotic. There's no
dances.
aspect to the Korean baseball cheerleaders dance that is not meant to just give everyone a boner.
I'm like, this is like I'm just watching it. I'm like, this is the same sport. Like it's American baseball is so boring compared to what whatever I've seen from
YouTube recommended.
These YouTube Korean baseball clips that I'm seeing.
It's
Oh
like
my
I need to
god.
go to Korea right now.
That was just a stupid aside that I thought of yesterday and I was meaning to tell you, so I
Oh my
figured I'd just tell
god.
you now.
No, it's absolutely true. Like I can't, oh man, I don't know. Like I don't know how people watch American sports. It's like 90% downtime except for like
Except
the
for
good sports
ads.
that nobody watches. Like hockey is pretty good. But like they just get like the worst angles ever. Like and you just have to be there.
Oh yeah,
Um
absolutely.
and soccer and hockey I think are like the two sports that probably deserve attention because like there's things happening, you know, and
Right.
hockey does like funny things in the halftime that are just like what is happening like
That's okay.
you know.
I wasn't sure if we talked about that because yeah, I saw a hockey game too, and I'm like, they're doing the silliest shit. Well,
Yeah, like the halftime
because
game I can't even understand what's going on. They bring out like starving children and put toys on the ground, have them crawl around and get a bunch of like food vouchers and shit. Like this is fucking
awesome.
wild.
This is Hunger Games dystopia type shit. This is great. I
Yeah.
think there was one thing where they like took a drone and they were like dropping things on the crowd. I'm like,
Oh
this
my.
rules. Well, don't they take a lot of breaks too because it's such an intense sport, right? Like even
I
not
don't even
even
remember the breaks because it was just everything was just so wild all the time.
not even like well, that's what I'm saying. Like they'd be hockeying around for a little bit and then it would be like, okay, so now we have Jane Ding Dong giving away tickets for whatever thing. Like in between
And they're shooting it out of a cannon.
and they're shooting everyone with a gun, which is
Yeah, they have
perfectly
a active.
acceptable.
They have an active shooter role play that they
At
do
the
in the
hockey game,
halftime
yeah.
show.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no,
Um,
hockey's great. Soccer, the field's so big though. It's kind of hard to track what's going on. You need to be like really high up. But all the time, soccer, it's like you're so far away. It's like you need to be further away from the field as a soccer viewer in the stands than like any person has ever allowed to get to like the fucking president.
because there's like the field's so big and there's so much
Yeah, there's just
like
mile. I feel like
movement.
there's like infinite miles of like grass from like where the field ends and then the stadium begins.
So you feel like to get like a full scope of it, you need to be like far,
I
no,
think
high up.
I think you need to be in VR chat and you need to
You
like
need to
go
be
ethereal and
like a
fly
drone
around.
flying over.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then watch the game that way, and that's how you really watch soccer because
I think
it's so far away.
I think it's funny how I'm sure Facebook's trying to make that whole meta thing happen when like VR chat's been a thing since like 2016.
Yeah,
Like
like I don't.
we've
Who
had the
wants to do
metaverse.
meta?
We've had the metaverse. It's called VR chat. Just if
Yeah,
you want to have your stupid business meeting in there, go nuts. You can be Hatsune Miku for Christ's sake.
yeah, like, and you can't even have like VR chat feels like the worst aspects of like a Black Mirror episode. But like even more boring than that because like you can't have lower bodies because they don't want people to have like asses and like fuck roleplay going on. You know, like there's
In,
just
in Metaverse, you're saying?
yeah, like they just have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like they're just like
Yeah, they're just
float.
floating around. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fine.
because like it just has to be, it has to just be for everyone, and it's like, well, then now it's for like nobody. Who cares about this?
That's funny. That's exactly what I was going to say. But something that's made for everybody is probably made for nobody.
Yeah,
The
it's
net's
not
too
actually made for
wide.
anyone.
And then before VR chat, there was Second Life,
Yeah,
which was
Second Life
just
was.
the greatest. Um, role playing
Well, it's a Second Life. It's not roleplay. That's our
experience.
Second Life.
Just seeing the Second Life troll videos,
Oh yeah,
like it's just
the Daniel
Daniel.
DNSL
Yeah.
trying to buy rented property or trying to rent property in America video, whatever.
That-
And it's just like
I mean,
all fetishes with
it's
huge
all
asses.
it's all
Describe
huge.
the women, please, in these Second Life videos.
It's honestly like in all of them, especially these like recent ones that he was putting out. So they have so let's just go from top to bottom. So on the top, on the top they have like picture. I mean, honestly, just picture a Bratz doll. They have like that head. They have the head of a Bratz doll. Then like a tiny like a. Now when I say a tiny neck, I don't mean like short. I mean like it's like a stick, like a little stick for a neck, and then kind of I think the shoulders are like kind of pulled in a little bit, but then we get to uh the the
The
boobas,
bazooms.
the bazooms, as LTG would call them. Those are like triple J at the very least on every one of them. Like they're just these massive. It's like it's almost hard to describe. Like they're just these. They just have like these giant tits. Then it gets to the waist, and then it's like a tiny waist, huge hips, giant ass, and then like now this is up to individual choice. Sometimes they'll have like massive thighs, and other ones they'll have like tiny thighs, looking like an anime character
It's
almost.
their
Where
thighs are almost as separated like they're a horse.
yeah,
Too.
yes, well, they gotta have that thigh gap.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a thing?
You need
That's
that. No, it's not even a gap. It's like thigh, like vice grip. It's set to like the max open setting.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Then just tiny legs and
But they're
that,
always
but
in heels too, right?
and they're always in heels. Yeah, it's it's amazing. It's beautiful. They're wearing like these like skirts and stuff. But then the voice behind it is always like, it's just
The
you'll
mic is like
never,
$5.
if that. I mean, sometimes they're, oh my god, that just reminds me of the Evil Dead games that we were playing.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's just beautiful.
The I,
People with, oh, I think it's the game just doesn't
yeah, I
know how
think so
to
too. Because I had a few
how
more
to
people talking, and I noticed they all sound uniquely shit.
yeah.
Like
It's and it's either the voice is either on or off. There's no push to talk. I think that's beautiful design.
yeah, and then although they did fix it though now, but before if you muted yourself in the main options, it only worked for one game, and then afterwards it would show you as muted, but you really wouldn't be muted, and people could hear you. Oh, so that was like when the game first
That's
came out. So that was fucking awesome.
that's great. Yeah, because they get that false sense of security. They're probably ERPing with their furry lover on Discord, and they think they're muted in the game, but they're not.
Yeah, and yeah, those are the best because like half the time you just hear people talking to like people in the room, and
Or whatever.
they're
Yeah.
just going on about the most inane shit. So
Oh yeah,
obviously
like that one guy, the tax guy that you were.
the tax. What was the? Oh yeah, one guy was like telling the other guy like it was. He was like basically telling him like for 30 minutes how like to pay your bills. Like that was his like
Oh,
advice on like how to
profound.
survive. It was like to pay your bills.
Okay, well, you gotta start somewhere, I guess.
I thought that was hilarious. I don't know if he was talking to somebody younger than him or whatever the fuck the situation was, but he got a nice lesson.
His indentured prince servant.
So I I discovered an interesting person. I think they're in jail right now, so we're probably not going to get any new content from this person. But they have a Twitter that is just full of posts that are horrifying. I have his picture up on the thing, so you'll see him. You'll probably be a little disappointed. So I'll give you a little hints. I think he has a scat fetish. I don't know. I just know his teeth look weird.
Or gat. What
Scat.
fetish? Scat. Got it.
Yeah. Not the beep ba boo boo ba ba boo kind either.
Okay.
But he's wearing a They Might Be Giant shirt, unfortunately. So
Perfect.
you may have to.
Awesome. Represent.
Yeah, he's representing the fandom very well, I think. So I just wanted to read maybe a few little some of his tweets. Maybe I'll read his bio.
Snippets, yeah.
Okay. I have symptoms similar to autism and say stuff I shouldn't. Oh, okay. It's a little.
Oh, that's okay. That's a good disclaimer.
He gets it. He gets some, understands himself a little bit.
Yeah.
Working on this in therapy. I also love this one girl and am on a quest for reciprocation. Oh.
Wait, what?
Yeah, all of his tweets have that same theme of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is normal. And then he always ends it with like, wait, what? So here's his last tweet, I guess.
Oh no.
His last tweet before, I think he went to, I don't know. I think he went to jail or something.
Is this a headcanon or?
No, this is what I read on his Wikipedia article. Oh, he has 18,000 tweets, so this is great. Okay.
Oh my god.
And he did 18,000 tweets in about 6 years. So, I'm back to playing D2DW2. I don't know what the fuck that is. I was up until about 1:30 a.m. last night thinking about Digimon stuff. Now, he actually wrote about, and he says in his heart he's from Canada.
For his heart.
So he's role-playing as a Canadian.
That's...
And to role-play as a Canadian, you type out about.
You type a boot.
Yeah, about. Okay.
Great.
Also, today I hiked and toured a landfill. What?
That was the end. That's the end of his tweet. Then?
That's the end of the tweet. Yeah, hiked and toured a landfill.
Well, why doesn't he talk about the land? I bet he got a good haul at the landfill. There's probably a lot of really nice thrown away garbage.
Now, when he says hiked and toured the landfill, do you think he was talking about his bedroom? Like he might be like a hoarder?
Okay, well, I mean, it's probably safe to assume. Have you ever seen like pictures of just disaster rooms where it's like just bottles everywhere and you can't even see the floor?
The floor, if there is one, is like probably a bug's paradise.
It's just
that's where a bug's life should have taken place. Instead of being boring dirt. Yeah.
That's the gritty sequel to A Bug's Life.
Well, which one was the more? Yeah, A Bug's Life was like the baby version. Ants was like the fucking the more brutal one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Ants kind of sucked though, because every character just was an ant.
Ants sucked. I mean, I don't think I even saw it, but I'm like, this looks like shit.
I mean, it's a movie that ends. It's a plural word that ends in Z.
Right. So you know what you're getting.
So you know it's gonna be dog shit.
But isn't like, it's a really famous director.
It is? I want to look this up. I want to see who it is. Ants.
Yeah, it's Woody fucking Allen, dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's why I was so...
I think more than the pedophilia and like marrying his daughter or whatever, he should probably be in jail for life just for Ants.
Oh, I guess he was the voice of the main character, but I don't know if he directed it.
Oh,
so
he didn't direct it? Oh no, it's got 2 directors. Well, if he was the voice, any involvement at all would warrant him a lifetime in jail.
Wow, there's this. Oh, this is one of those movies that it's like those movies that it's like a romantic.
Oh yeah, there's a female
movie
ant.
Where, well, no, have you ever seen like I think maybe it's called like Valentine's Day or something. It's like one of those movies where they have just a bajillion of really famous names just so they can say they have all these famous names, but they're never connected. Yeah. They all have their own like scenes apart from each other, but it's like, oh no, we got Jennifer Lopez and all these famous fucking people. Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, we got
I don't know any
fucking
other
Sylvester
famous
Stallone came in the
names.
office and farted on mic, and we got him in the movie.
But in this, it's the kind of the same thing. They just got all these famous people and probably got them in the booth for like, half a day if they could afford it.
They probably just like recorded them
Stitched it
talking
all
on the
together.
phone, and they're like, "Don't worry, we'll fix it in post."
We'll make it sound like just to have your character talking through
They
through
put him on
burps.
speakerphone and they held it up to the microphone in the recording booth,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's how they got the voices for ants. Because the thing that I remember about that movie the most is every character sounded like they were talking through gravel. 'Cause, like,
Well, I mean that's fair. They're ants,
that
so.
makes sense because they're used to eating gravel. That makes
Hmm.
sense. Okay, there was one more tweet I wanted to read from this guy of the many that we'll probably end up looking at. Um, I found Oot. There's going to be a Digimon Adventure 3. That's pretty cool. Also, I used to smell cats, and I still do. Now, a normal person smelling cats, whatever. Why wouldn't you smell your animal? And animals, when they're grooming each other like monkeys and shit, they use their hands, they're using tactile senses, they're doing smell. They do those things. But when you're a weirdo,
I think this. I'm. So like, what's the Wikipedia backstory with
the
this then?
Wikipedia. Okay,
Because
so you want to know more?
okay, because from what I'm hearing right now, it just feels like this guy is just lay epic random.
It does sound like
Katie,
that.
Tip Penguin of Doom. He just oh I gotta yeah my tweet's okay, but I gotta add some oomph. Oh, I know, I smell cats. That's gonna get the traction. That's gonna
Yeah,
get me
it definitely does seem like that. I think if there ever were a lay random person deserving of that moniker, it's probably this weirdo. I've seen his picture before. Basically, he has a picture where his teeth look like they're like corroded and awful. So like one day I decided to look him up recently, and the Wikipedia article didn't have much information other than just like he went to jail for doing some fucked up shit that I don't even remember, and that he has like a scat fetish, and he just like posts all this weird shit online, and just like what he's like just one of those weird internet lol cows, but instead of being like DSP or LTG where he has like I don't know if he has videos, but it has like an outlet. His outlet is just like his Twitter delusions, because like I mean, he gets. No, he doesn't actually. The first one he had a lot, but then wait, nobody's like interacting with most. Oh my god, how did he make 18,000 tweets and nobody responds to most of them?
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Because
go. Let's go look up the Wikipedia.
crazy people don't care who's listening, and if anyone's listening, they'll just scream into the void.
Where's his? Because people call him Nick Bateman.
Ba 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 da ba
Where's his fucking?
ba
What's
ba
that
ba
weird
da ba.
Wikipedia website? Nick. Oh, because that's what he goes by on
Wikiped.
on Twitter is Nick Bait. But where's his like? Oh, real life villains. This will have some information.
Ba 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 da ba 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 da ba.
Okay, here we go. Here's a quote by this guy. There needs to be a civil rights movement for pedosexuals. The general public automatically assumes all pedosexuals are rapists, and it sucks.
Wow.
So let's see here. Let me read. His hobby is tweeting and doing coprophilic acts.
Oh God.
If you know what it is, you know, and if you don't look it up. His goals are evading justice. Goal failed. Crimes are pedophilia, incest, and the R word. And the type
His
of villain he is pervert.
Oh, so this is like this is like a Wikipedia.
This is like it's not even it's a real life villains.maraze.org.wiki. But
God,
that's,
your computer is infested with 20 Trojans just for
yeah.
coming here.
But yeah, I've seen pictures of him. I mean, he's got a lot of pictures, and there's one where he's got like what I fucking hope to God is Nutella all over his face. But yeah, I don't know, is he like from South America? Because all these things that I see about him are in like Spanish.
Oh.
There's like an hour-long video about. Oh my god. Oh god.
Según él también.
What the fuck is happening? Oh god. Okay. Don't look up for videos for. Jesus Christ.
Is it on YouTube or Live
It
Leaks?
was just like the fucking close up of his disgusting mouth.
Oh,
If you
yeah, I'm
like,
good.
if you don't like fucked up teeth, don't look at it.
He has a fedora. So you're saying he's also British at heart, too?
Yeah, I think that's where the autism comes in that he mentioned.
Well, I mean, no, his teeth are disgusting.
Yeah, the teeth are bad, and Brit Bongers have autism, unfortunately. What if that was correlated?
Being British and having autism?
No, like having fucked up teeth and having autism.
What? I think I'm confused. Like,
Well, like, okay, do you know like there's a correlation between like if you like have like children by highways have a higher rate of autism. Now, obviously, it's not causal, but it's like it's an interesting phenomena.
right.
You know, I mean, I think the real reason is due to like socioeconomic status. Like nobody really wants to live by a highway, and also
I think
the highway probably causes stress in utero for the mom.
Do you think a lot of it is just a ubiquity of testing too? Like, and just general awareness?
I mean, yeah, that's always gonna like
Like,
increase a rate of something like up
like
until
every
like what the expected norm value is.
like
Um,
historically, everyone's had what we call autism
yeah,
to a degree.
everyone is autistic.
I truly believe that, though. I think everyone's on the spectrum.
I think in America it's kind of ironic because like autism testing is like pretty hard to get done. I think in Madison it's like a 2-year wait minimum. So like it's kind of ironic that because generally the people who kind of bring up like that commentary, even though it's not wrong, are like once like conservatards because they're trying to look for something external to explain a rise in something like like maybe it doesn't really exist, we're just like we're looking for it or something, you know.
Okay.
And it's like well it absolutely exists. I mean, if you ever like paid attention to like history stuff, there's all sorts of people that like, man, this person really seems like they have this kind of thing that we know about now,
Yeah.
but they didn't have the words for,
Right.
you know. And it's a bit almost tragic that like if you lack the words to describe something, you could never have a way to explain it to somebody else,
Definitely.
you know, and then in that way you're in your own nightmare because you have an isolating experience that you can't explain to anyone else. You can't gain sympathy or understanding. It isolates you from people.
Well, it seemed back in the day it was they would just say you're touched and either ostracize you or lock you up somewhere. If you have any kind of neurodivergent behavior
Yeah, like
or divergent behavior, period. Not don't even have to go like brain about it. Just if you're at all weird.
yeah, it's kind of funny. Like that reminds me of did I ever tell you about the this like socio-ecological study that was done post like World War II?
I don't think so. Go ahead.
It's basically this woman did this like really interesting study where she basically kind of sent these like questionnaires to people and they responded in terms of like, you know, how do you feel about, you know, your life. There's a lot of like suburban people, and so it was a lot of like suburban women and things like that they were like, you know, it had questions like, oh, did you have sex before marriage, did you save yourself for marriage, how do you feel about that, blah 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 blah, and all these things. And it's interesting to note that like before this moment a lot of these norms never existed. They were never a thing. The
Like these expectations, you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, these were all born out of the Cold War.
Got it.
These were all sexual control
Yeah.
born out of the Cold War to fight communism. These were all government propaganda.
Uh-huh.
So it's really interesting that you just have to accept that at face value because you don't really have the memory to get into
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
No.
but because like it was all a thing to fight, the Cold War, because they got HUAC, they investigated like 10,000 federal agents, and the only ones that they fired were the gay ones because gay was seen as a depravity and you lacked moral control and self restraint. So if you couldn't prevent yourself from being gay, then you would easily fall into communism and you would fucking erode the safety of America and blah blah blah. So like I always found it so funny that these people were like so impacted by a culture that was like just told to them. Like you can go and watch these on YouTube. There's all these like government videos about like dating, like video on dating, video
Oh,
on this.
I've been through
Yeah.
all of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we watched a bunch of those like a way long time ago. Like there was some silly ones too,
It's
even.
wild.
Like
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
how to get promoted in the workplace, like all these things,
Yeah.
because it's like because there wasn't like a homogenous culture. There wasn't similar experiences drawn. Like, you don't have the internet to be like, oh, like this is how I get promoted at work. Like you have no ideas about anything. So like the government tries to create these like general ideas about dating and things, but really it's only really received to people who can live those lives, which are like,
Right.
well-to-do white people living in the suburbs.
Right.
So like a
Right.
lot of these like responses these people would write in were like, oh, well, I didn't and I feel bad about it and I pray to God every day, and it's like this person's life has been fucking ruined by a culture that literally was alien 20 years prior.
Right.
And not
Right.
and it's not a culture that was born of the people. It's a culture born of a government trying to fight an imaginary war with a country that stands no chance against them. Russia was never. How could they do anything other than just like go crazy and drop nukes? Their economy was in shambles. Like what hope could Russia ever have? Obviously, I don't really know that at the time, but like I mean, just look at Russia.
Yeah.
Like 90% of it
Right.
is uninhabitable landmass of shit. Like
Right.
you know but like there's just so much like harm done to people for the stupidest reasons, and then conservatards point to this astroturfed era as like the return
Golden
to
age.
greatness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like they don't know what went into that. They don't know the government funding that went into building these suburbs. They don't know, the effort in government public housing building and all these things. That the reason government housing in America sucks is because there's none of them. They got the money to build them, but they never were allowed
And
money to
I can't
maintain them.
upkeep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
turn to
Yeah. Yeah.
shit. And then you have
Yeah.
conservatards today. They're like, oh well, those projects suck, and they just assume that they suck because the people living in them are like trash assholes that
Right.
like throw food everywhere and shit on the walls or whatever.
Hmm.
And it's like, I mean, I've seen people do that in non-shit areas. It turns out it
Right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
The rich people freak out too.
Newsflash. Most people aren't very different.
Yeah, like, oh my god, man. But I always think about that. It's such an interesting study, and just like really depressing. Just like
It's how that whole like kind of fucked
that's
up culture is just created out of whole cloth.
yeah,
Like
it's just made up.
manufactured.
And
Yeah.
then these people like had actual, because like how could you know otherwise? They were in the Matrix.
Right.
Like
Right.
there's no
Right.
way, there's no internet to
Definitely.
like look up these things
Definitely.
and to quote do your own research to see how bullshit it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at this professionally made video, this must be what the culture is, this is what's expected of me, and if I don't adhere to that, then I am going to feel bad, unless I'm such an independent person where I don't. And like a few people did, but like most people, like,
Well, they
they
don't have,
felt bad that they couldn't live up to these standards. And sometimes it comes as it's like, oh, I wasn't able to have like a kid or whatever for a few years, but then, oh, God blessed us and we had a kid and blah 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 whatever. But it's like when your life is so narrowly defined, to like in your role, especially like like as a woman, and then because whatever reason you can't have a kid or whatever, it's like, well, what do I do now? Am I,
purpose do you have? Yeah.
right? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's actually what people, they were trying to get. And also, part of it was like an indoctrination to try to get women back into like the mom roles after World War II,
Out
because like
of
there was
getting them
so
in the
much female
workplace.
liberation
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Which is like the biggest slap in the face. Like, oh hey, like women, please come work in factories now. And like,
I
oh no
know.
no 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 no,
Yeah.
go back to being fucking baby makers.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a taste of it. But now
I
the men are
wonder.
back.
And now we need to go. We need to put them back there.
Now the men are back from the trenches. They need to go back to their employment trenches.
What about
And
this
you,
take? What about we have constant wars so that the men are all going dying, and it's a scheme by the women to keep them being free.
Room. Like they don't want to be free. They want to.
No, like America's always been in like wars since Vietnam, so that they're always sending the boys out, so like they have to rely on the women, and it's all like a Hillary Clinton scheme of lizard people to like make sure that we need female workers to ruin the glory days of
Oh, to keep them out of the household, you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I could see that being
That's,
like a crazy take.
I mean, dude, crazy takes can take any kind of form. Like that's the beauty of it. Like as long as you can just start creating, you just need to have like a premise, right? You need to have like, okay, the premise is women don't want to stay in the workforce. Okay, how do or no, women don't want to stay at home. How do we justify that? You just start grasping at any kind of whatever.
Yeah,
I think
it's like
has
picking stars out of the sky to draw your constellation. And then
a
it's like, oh look, it's a dragon.
See, it makes it totally checks out. Come on, you just have to squint. You have to squint and turn your head just the right way. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like seeing clouds, where like one person sees something, it's like I have no idea what you're talking about.
right. Um, well, I feel like a lot of the homogeny, even if it was like manufactured that we had in like the 40s, 50s, onward was because information was so I don't want to say centralized, but like right the reason we have so much like polarity now is because you can hear anything from anyone at any time. Back when there were like what three news stations, you're kind of getting the same information
Yeah,
roughly filtered
yeah,
through the same
like I think
outlets.
the 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 peak of like the homogenization of like news media is like the fucking Spanish American War or whatever. That like these
We have
fake
like a couple newspapers,
yeah,
say,
like
yeah,
one guy owns like all the newspapers and like publishes all these fake things that like riles the American citizenry up into this like big thing that like I don't know the totally of it. I only learned a little bit about it because of Citizen Kane, because the character in Citizen Kane is basically that newspaper
okay.
magnate or whatever the hell
Mhm.
term they use for
Mhm.
him, and like that's like fucking crazy, right?
Mhm.
And then nowadays, like you said, we got you can pick whatever shit trough you want to eat out of,
And anyone can make their own shit trough.
and that too.
That's just what blow. I mean, that's just the most amazing. It's amazing and beautiful and like terrifying at the same time. Like anyone can have a voice. That's great, but should everyone have a voice? I don't know.
Yeah, like
And there's
what?
no way to like be able to distinguish who should and who shouldn't.
Yeah, you can't. It's a kind of I'm sure there's like some kind of philosophical conundrum there, because like you can't determine if somebody deserves the moral freedom to self-express until they've said something that requires consideration or condemnation. So like up until that point, it's like a Schrodinger's cat black box kind of thing where it's like, oh, this person could say that they think everyone deserves to be able to eat. Oh, great. Or this person
Right.
could say, I think that one race should dominate other races.
Right. Right.
And right now, we generally have the freedom where you can say that kind of crazy shit, and unless you're, I mean, even if you're a politician, you can kind of get away with it if you're in a certain kind of party.
You're like coy. Yeah. Yeah. If you're coy enough about it, if
Yeah.
you're if you're at least winking a little bit, people let you get away with it.
Yeah, which is just like fucking disgust. What the fuck? Like the dog whistling, or like the QAnon stuff, which I can't believe is like actually a part of the government now.
Yeah, they're like legit cute.
Like
That's
that we had
nuts.
Marjorie whatever Green,
Taylor Green, yeah.
and she's like fuck, she must have the easiest job imaginable. Because like she probably doesn't actually do anything. Like she probably just goes around, riles things up, and people are like, "That's why I voted for her."
I mean, yeah, she's going around making. I mean, I think she has an arduous job in the sense that she's constantly having to go and do insane shit all the time. I'm not saying it's like good, but she probably does work. She works hard in a sense that she has to come up with new ways to rile up her insane fan base.
True. Yeah. Okay. Political alignment ended with AOC. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now my political ally. You're right. She probably does do more. She probably is the hardest working member of Congress, actually. Because, you're right. Because she's got to go around. She's going to be like, okay, my last stunt, got me in a lot of trouble, but it really got me a lot of Twitter engagement with my base. Yes. I need to go bigger. I need to get those numbers, Because, like, imagine she does do something and, like, oh, she doesn't, like, there's a fucking school shooting that day and so like she doesn't even get any attention. And it's like, fuck, I did all this planning and then the fucking fucking Bob McShooter had to go and kill 45 toddlers again. God damn it. So like, what if that would be a great comedy. I mean, it would be a black comedy, mind you. Okay.
Right,
it's not funny when you kill toddlers. I'm brave enough to say that. But imagine that's a plot of a movie where she's like doing all these, like she's coming up with these batshit things like I'm gonna go put a blow up doll in Nancy Pelosi's car or something with Hillary Clinton's lizard face on it or whatever, right? And she goes through all this work but then American tragedy happens and it keeps like
and then like the tragedies are always like escalating.
Yeah.
So she's also
and she can't beat it.
Never gets.
She can't beat it, right?
Never,
so her arc is that she actually tries to politically advocate to deal with the problems that are leading to the tragedies.
That's funny to ameliorate the problems so
that she can get the attention for her crazy shit.
That's funny. That's a good turn.
That's my movie arc idea for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I should DM her on Twitter. I'm sure she's got her DMs wide open and she reads all of them.
Oh, definitely.
And be like, hey, you should let me tell you my idea for a movie.
Let me tell you my idea for a movie / what you should do in real life.
What you should actually start doing is you should try to start dealing with these problems so that they won't overtake and overshadow you in your crazy schemes to do whatever it is you're trying to do.
You can get more attention.
I think
she's like Tinkerbell. She loses her life force if there aren't enough people paying attention to her.
Yeah, she has to get herself, stuck in those key knobs and her ass hanging out. That's got to be somebody's fetish. It's in 2 Disney movies now, right?
Oh,
at least 2.
Like, where she gets like stuck in the it's not a key.
I've never seen the movie. I've just seen the 4chan things where she's like in the keyhole.
Oh, that's funny.
But then The Incredibles also has that, where there's the elastic mom and she's like that one's taken to the extreme.
Dummy thick mom.
Because like the mom, her ass is in one door and then she's like moving forward and then her upper waist gets stuck between another door and she's got to like fight guys and all. That is just somebody was jacking off.
That's someone's charging their J.O. Crystal at the office.
Yeah, somebody. They're like storyboarding it and like the paper is all just sopping wet and the animators get it and they're like, I can't read any of these notes. It's all blurry. And they're like, oh, just here, look into my J.O. Crystal. You get the idea. And they're all like, whoa! And they're like doing like fucking crazy. Like their eyes are growing in the back of their skull and they all like.
Yeah, their eyes are glowing and they can see into the Matrix, the horny Matrix.
Yeah, I think that's how good art is made, is that you transmit your horniness to other people and that they understand the world through that. And that's why that scene in Incredibles was able to be created with such I don't know, a beauty maybe even. Because I mean, okay, we gotta actually, I'm gonna look at this scene. I want to see what the most replayed is. I want to see this. Where is here it is. Oh, let's go to the thing. Oh, there it is. The most viewed section is. There it is. The most viewed section. Oh my god.
Without fail, it's always. I think
The
I
most
think
sweet
that's.
section is when she turns and looks at her ass in the mirror.
Yes.
And then the other most sweet section is when her like whole body is like between 5 different doors. Oh
I
my
think
god.
that's a it's not even a theory. It's just literally how it is that always without fail the most viewed part on any video is just going to be the horniest part of the video.
God, it's the comments are turned off. You know, I think that's the only reason humans have survived as well as they have.
Well, I mean literally
Because
because
like, if they
to
didn't
create new
reproduce
life.
enough, they'd probably get destroyed by lions or some shit. You know?
I mean, I don't think that's a very profound thing. If we didn't keep making more babies, if we weren't constantly horny, we wouldn't keep making more babies. We would cease to exist.
I wonder if I wonder in the animal kingdom. Well, it's probably, you know, humans are probably, are they the most horny or dolphins? I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to get at is like,
I no, but well, there's like like bonobo chimps just that like
yeah,
have sex with each other casually
yeah. What I'm
as a
trying to
greeting.
ascertain though is that because like humans can have they have monthly, what do they call that? Is that estrous cycles?
Estrus cycle. Yep.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
monthly estrous cycles. So like biologically, how much does that like reinforce people to like be horny? You know?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of an innate thing. I think just some people have it's like a libido, right? Like
Yeah.
some
Well, I
people
mean, if they
it's
didn't have it, they would. This is the species wouldn't exist. But like but there is a range of it, obviously. Like because it's not like people
yeah,
think about it like
yeah,
constantly. It's like there's
yeah.
some degree to like that would be measurable relative to other things. Um,
Okay, how would you measure it?
I don't know. That's what I'm getting at. Because like in a
It would
lot of
have to
like
make
when
a
you
survey,
like
right?
when you watch animals, you usually like you note the behaviors that they engage in. So
Uh,
like
okay, okay.
so like in my anthropology class, we had to like look at a monkey. We had to do like 2 sessions, and it had to be like you had to like take a note of like where it was or what it was doing like every 2 minutes or some shit.
Okay.
And I was in the bird area looking at these emperor tamarangs and like oh so hot and it smelled like ass because all the bird shit everywhere. But like so that's one way, right? But these are like this is a very unique form of captivity. Like what else are they gonna do? But most of they're just like
Right,
like 25% of the time they were like moving, you know.
right.
But it's an interesting way to like look at things, right? And I think
Mhm.
like if you look at society now, like there's people who just aren't like fucking as much because like they don't have the opportunities due to like you know kind of like COVID and the there's enough distractions, I suppose.
Distractions and like just the ability to meet people, I think like that opportunity I think is dwindled a lot because like well it kind of goes with that like there's just not many reasons to leave the house even. Because everything you can get everything like delivered to you. You
Yeah,
don't even
like
have to
there's
go like
not
you don't even
like
have to go to the grocery store for a lot of people. They just fucking order it ahead of time and pick it up. It's
yeah, and if
crazy.
you like live in a city, it's like
Why would you
there's
want
not
to
really
talk
that
to
much
these
to look
people?
at. Most I think American cities mostly look like ass.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they're not designed for you to like look at because you're probably supposed to like drive through them. Oh, and even then, if you are driving through them, they're designed for like driver advertisement. Like, come
Right.
shop here, eat my ass out. We
Right.
got new low ass
Hmm.
to eat out.
Assets.
Okay, I gotta do some
Assets.
laundry. We should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay,
say we have to have been here for like at least an hour and a half, two
yeah,
hours.
it's an hour.
It's been like 8 hours at
This is a
least
8 hours. It'll be cut down to 5 60 hour
to
segments.
7.5 hours. We're gonna get rid of the part where and you didn't hear it, but we went on a really racist tangent.
Yeah, at least 90% of the hours that you guys aren't hearing, because you didn't hear them obviously, all racism.
Where it's just, entirely racism.
Um,
We're just respecting our roots, going back to our roots.
yeah, and that should be perfectly fine. Winky
And you
face.
should accept that because you need to accept everybody as they are.
Yeah, and you're the bigot if you don't.
You're yeah. If you tell us not to say what's in our hearts, you're actually the racist.
Yeah, if you tell us
Gotcha.
not to say what's in our hearts, then we're gonna say what's in our minds.
Nah,
And
that's
you don't
even
want to hear
worse.
that.
Yes. Checkmate, liberals.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.